this video, we will show how to access the piston, seals and spacers, and the brine valve assembly. Using either a crosshead screwdriver or nut driver, remove the two screws and backplate to expose the power head assembly. There are a few bolts and screws that we will need to remove in order to access the internal components. There's the screw that holds the piston rod guide in place, the screw and washer that holds the piston in place, and then the two bolts that hold the power head assembly in place. First, remove the screw that is holding the piston rod guide in place. Then, remove the screw and washer that attaches the piston rod to the main gear. Then remove the two bolts that hold the housing on top of the valve body. Then wiggle the power head assembly slightly forward and lift up and away from the valve body. Note that the meter cable is attached to the bypass valve, so you'll need to push the meter cable tip upwards from underneath the bypass valve in order to then lift the meter cable tip up and away from the valve body. Next step is to loosen and remove the three bolts that are holding the metal plate in position. Then lift the piston assembly straight up and out of the valve body. It is possible that a number of rubber seals and spacers may still be attached to the piston, as in this case. These seals and spacers will easily slide off the piston. Then look for any scratches or damage to the piston itself, because if so, it is recommended to replace the complete piston assembly. Then check for the possibility of more rubber seals and spacers from inside the valve body and remove them. Inspect all 5 rubber seals for any possible tears or swelling due to chlorine or chloramine exposure. Inspect all 4 spacers for any possible damage as well. If you see evidence of any damage to these components, we recommend you replace the complete seal and spacer set, which contains a total of 5 rubber seals and 4 spacers. Then remove the brine valve assembly by lifting it straight up and out from the valve body. The brine valve should easily open and close as seen here. Its purpose is to allow water to be drawn out of and placed back into the brine tank. But if it has seized and is unable to open and close with ease, it is recommended to replace the seized assembly. Prior to placing the rubber seals, spacers, piston, and brine valve assembly back into the valve body, we recommend cleaning out the ports with a rag, for example, to ensure that there's no debris left inside the valve body. Note that there is a specific order that needs to be followed when placing the rubber seals and spacers into the valve body. It is also recommended to place these components into the valve body one at a time to ensure that each seal and spacer are aligned and in their proper position. It does not matter which side is facing up or down, but the placement order certainly does matter in order for the control valve to function properly. First, place a rubber seal into the valve body, followed by a spacer, then a rubber seal, then a spacer, and so on until the last rubber seal is placed on top. Prior to pushing the piston down in through the seal and spacer stack, it's recommended to apply a thin coating of silicone grease to the piston to allow it to move up and down smoothly. The piston should not be in a dry state. Then, once in position, while pushing down on the end plug, you can lift the piston up and down to ensure it's moving smoothly. Then push the brine valve assembly into its port and push the spring down several times to ensure it doesn't seize and that it bounces back up on its own. Then place the metal plate back into position. Note that this hook is on the top side and is to face towards the front of the valve body. Then reposition and tighten the 3 bolts nice and tight to ensure that the metal plate is holding the piston and brine valve assembly in place. Next, This notched out section on the power head needs to be placed under the hook on the metal plate. At the same time, the power head has two holes that need to align with the piston and the brine valve. And lastly, the piston rod's hole needs to align with the main gear to allow the screw and washer to be placed back into position. While holding the power head in place, tighten the piston screw and washer back into place. Then tighten the two bolts that hold the power head housing onto the top of the valve body. Then position the piston rod guide back into place using the screw. Next, place the back plate in position by tightening the two screws into place. And finally, the most important step is to not forget to place the meter cable tip back into place.
Visit us at www.canaturewg.com.